Just want to start off the program by telling you how disappointed I am that the Empire State Building was not lit up in green last night to celebrate the fact that the Philadelphia Eagles are now the second team in football history to blow a 10-point or larger lead at halftime of the Super Bowl. That's right. The Philadelphia Eagles share the stage with the Atlanta Falcons. Congratulations, Philadelphia. I did call the Empire State Building, but they were already contracted to put it in Kansas City red. Woohoo! Good afternoon, Evan. How are you today, bud?
Die, Eagles, die.
I gotta tell
Flush
you.
of victory.
What a fantastic way for the Eagles to lose. As former New York Giant, Mr. Bradbury III gets called for a holding penalty, and to his credit, instead of bitching and moaning after the game and saying anything about the refs or this or that, he owned it. He goes, I held him.
Yeah, I think that
that ends the conversation.
We need to honor one individual right now. One guy above all else needs credit today. And it's not Patrick Mahomes, and it's not Andy Reid.
No, it's not.
It is my favorite executive, the executive of the year, Joe Schoen. Because Joe Schoen trades Kadarius Toney to Kansas City.
Boom.
Longest punt return in Super Bowl history, catches a touchdown. Joe Schoen cuts James Bradbury.
Oh.
Signs in Philadelphia, commits a brutal, but it was a defensive hold penalty. Joe Schoen's imprint on this Super Bowl was all over the place.
Yeah.
So Giant fans, thank the man. He's the reason that the Philadelphia Eagles are not celebrating a Super Bowl championship.
Great point. He is the MVP.
Yes.
For New York in last night's Super Bowl. And listen, a hell of a game, obviously. 38-35. You can't ask for much more. But yeah, I have to say, and it does, I don't get bothered by much these days, but it is so bothersome to me when I listen to radio shows or TV shows or, go online, whatever it is, and you're hearing the rhetoric, which is, yeah, it's a foul, but you can't call it there. No, you can't have that.
Yeah.
Now, if you want to tell me, in your opinion, as wrong as it may be, that he didn't hold him, fine. Yeah, that's a better argument than, yes, he held him,
Well,
B, you can't call it. That's ridiculous.
So I completely agree with you. I've never subscribed to that thought of you call a game differently in the final 2 minutes.
Right.
But here's what I would bring up. And you have to go back to the early second quarter. But it jumped out at me. Because anytime there's a non-call or a bad call, it sticks in my head.
Sure.
The Kansas City Chiefs punted. They had a 3-and-out. It was the first time they punted all game.
That was the 4th and 3 where you thought, right? Was that what we're talking about?
No, it was after that. They had missed the field goal, so they went for it. They didn't go for it on 4th and 3.
I'm thinking field goal. You're
They
right.
kicked the field goal. Butker misses it. Eagles get the football, march right down the field. They score a touchdown. It's 14-7.
Right.
And Kansas City has the football with a 3rd and 8, like their own 30-yard line. Nothing crazy. And Patrick Mahomes throws a pass to Smith-Schuster, and it looks like James Bradbury interfered with
Yep.
it. And it jumped out at me like,
And they
okay.
did not call that one.
And they didn't call it. And it's in my head. You kind of file it away.
And it was more egregious.
That's my point.
Yes.
And that's the argument one can make. I don't like at this part of the game, you can't call it.
Right.
I would ask for consistency. So when you go back to that play call, which was significant at the time, you never know how the game's going to play out, but it's an automatic first down. Chiefs are moving. You never know what happens.
Sure.
I look at that non-call, which I agree with you, Craig, was probably more egregious, but still a penalty.
Yeah.
As compared to the penalty at the end of the game, which was defensive holding.
Yes.
We all know that.
And I got to give Bradbury a lot of credit because there was a very easy spot for him to, bitch and moan and whine and say it's nonsense and rip the refs and attack, the credibility of the outcome of the game. He could have done all of it, and it would have been expected, frankly, right? Because he's out on an island by himself being blamed now. And the fact that guy, after the game, a brutal, devastating loss, has the wherewithal to say, listen, I held him. I was hoping it wouldn't get called, but I held him.
Right.
Everyone else's opinion ends right there.
Well, yeah.
The guy that did it told you he did it.
That's why he's gone at the end of the year. He will not be an Eagle next year. He'll come back to the New York Giants and will be celebrated as a hero.
Yes.
And Eagle fans will forever bitch about that. And look, there's a lot of reasons why they lost this game. Their defense, and here's where I take my L, all right? I thought this pass rush, which it had done all season long, was going to be able to get a consistent rush against this Chiefs offensive line. You know how many games this regular season they had 0 sacks in?
None.
One.
Yeah.
One game.
Same.
Every other game, they're piling up 5 sacks, 6 sacks, 7 sacks.
Yeah.
So now, why did that happen?
Well,
there are 2 points here. Let's bring it up because I want to be fair about
Go
this.
ahead.
The Chiefs' offensive line, tip your hat. Absolutely.
Go ahead.
Can we get to the second part?
Yeah.
I am not an Eagle fan.
Yeah.
I am not here to make excuses. I'm observing. The turf they played on last night was a freaking ice rink.
Come on.
The Eagle. Hold on.
We're blaming the turf for the lack of sacks?
Not blaming observation.
Okay.
I'm making an observation. You decide.
Yeah.
I report, you decide, okay? Every Eagle changed their cleats last night
Yes, they made a point of that.
because they were slipping and they were sliding.
Yeah.
3 weeks earlier, you, Craig, and a caller made a great point to me. They said, Evan, maybe it wasn't the Bengal offensive line against the Bills' pass rush. Maybe it was the weather. Maybe it was the field. Maybe the reason Buffalo didn't get a rush on that crap offensive line was actually the field conditions. So I ask you a question, Craig.
Yes.
Is it possible
No.
that the Eagles' vaunted pass rush was deeply affected by playing football on an ice rink?
I say
Good
no.
day, sir.
I say no to that. I thought it was the game plan. It was the use of the running backs out wide, outside, which we discussed them doing. And obviously, Patrick Mahomes had a lot to do with that
They
as
didn't
well.
breathe on him.
They had 5 pressures the entire game.
Like, seriously, you look at this Eagle team all year long.
Yeah.
They have gotten to the quarterback consistently. I'm telling you, the only game this season was the first Cowboy game against Cooper Rush where they didn't sack him one time. Outside of that, you go through every game. They're hitting the quarterback. They're harassing the quarterback. Dude, they knocked out the quarterback the last time they played.
But you know what the beauty of it is? And I said this all week, and frankly, I think you yelled at me all week about it. Maybe the rest of these idiots did too. And I told you, they have not played a team, an offensive team, like Kansas City. And the only times they even got something close, they gave up 30 points every time.
Sure.
Now, give the Eagle offense credit. 75-yard drive, 65-yard drive. They marched. They got the job done. Jalen Hurts, to his credit, probably played his best game as a pro, and he deserves a lot of accolades for how he played. But the Kansas City offense is just special, man. It's different. And how about the fact, can we say this? Mm-hmm. At the end of the game, listen, the game's over. It's moot. But the image of it was amazing to me. And I feel bad saying that because I like Jalen Hurts a lot. And he obviously was the best player on the field yesterday, right? But Hail Mary time. He goes to launch a ball from his own 30. And I don't want to hear your bull crap about he stepped on Kelsey's foot and it stopped. No, stop. Embarrassing yourselves. He could only throw the ball 50 yards.
That was bad.
He threw the ball from his 30 to the Kansas City 20, which does beg the question, if Philly knew that his arm was shot, why are you sending everybody into the end zone when you know the guy can't throw the ball 70 yards?
Obviously, the game is over. Once that defensive hold is called, once the Chiefs run the clock out, once there's 8 seconds to go, and the Eagles have to march down the field with no timeouts. But you want to give yourself a shot. You want to give yourselves a prayer.
Do something.
Do something. And even though those circus plays never seem to work, you got to try that.
At least the ball's in play, at least.
Yeah, as opposed to I felt bad for Jalen Hurts. I really did.
I did too, because he played his ass off, and for all the things that were said about him, coast to coast about he's not the guy, he's not this, he's not that. I know he had the bad fumble and it led 7 points, defensive touchdown. But my guy threw for over 300 yards.
He was great.
He ran for over 70 yards.
He was great.
He scored 4 touchdowns. He had the octopus. I mean, the guy did everything he could.
And he didn't get much of a run game outside of him.
Yeah,
he didn't get much out of Kenneth Gainwell and Miles Sanders and Boston Scott.
What you said about Philly's offense against San Francisco prior to the injury really taking a hold in the second half, Kansas City ran right over them.
Yeah, they did.
Kansas
Pacheco
City ran
was tremendous.
through them like Swiss cheese.
No doubt.
Which also, you should all learn a valuable lesson there. There's a valuable lesson for Giant fans to learn in last night's game, other than Joe Shane deserves a parade. Mm-hmm. You do not need to bring Saquon Barkley back because they had a 70-plus yard day out of a 7th-round pick from Rutgers.
Okay.
You do not need a high-priced, big-name running back when you can find them literally in New Brunswick.
Now, let me add to that then. Does that also mean they shouldn't pay a top-notch number 1 wide receiver? Because think about that.
Well,
they let
Tony's
Tyreek go.
big-time pick.
Well,
right?
Kadarius Toney was targeted one time in this game
was
for one
a big-time
catch.
pick for Pittsburgh.
He played very well in the second half.
Yep.
But I'm talking about for this current Chiefs team, the number 1 offense in the NFL.
Yes.
Like, look at who the receivers were that Patrick Mahomes was throwing to.
And by the way, he didn't throw the ball but once to MVS.
Yeah.
He had one target. Didn't even catch the ball.
One target to him, one target to Sky Moore, but it worked. One target to Kadarius Toney, but it worked. And Travis Kelce was only targeted 6 times and caught every ball he was targeted for.
I think it's also special when you have Mahomes. And I love the fact that on those 2 touchdowns to Sky Moore and to Kadarius Toney, which was the same exact play.
Oh, it was brilliant,
Right
man.
side of the field, left side of the field. And you're talking about, for all the nonsense they talk about Gannon in Philadelphia being a head coach candidate, they got abused on those 2 plays.
I thought Andy Reid in the first half, as we're sitting there when the first half ends and we're enjoying Rihanna.
Were you, though?
I think, and I was actually.
You were enjoying a pregnant Rihanna having 50 people dressed like sperm trying to impregnate her?
Were they sperm?
Yeah.
Is that what they were?
Yes.
I was trying to figure it out.
Yeah, so basically, she is pregnant. A$AP Rocky is the boyfriend or husband.
Yeah.
But that was supposed to, what's the word I'm looking for? Represent semen
I didn't realize.
trying to impregnate Rihanna.
But it worked. So which of the semen
guess
was
so.
the winner in all this?
A$AP Rocky. Yeah, he knocked her up again.
I thought for
I know what the hell
anyone,
they were doing.
for any husband and wife that make a dramatic announcement about when they're pregnant,
Yeah.
Rihanna is the winner.
Well, Beyonce
Because
did it before her, though, to be honest.
Yeah, but she announced it by revealing her belly at the Super Bowl.
It's a Beyonce move. Beyonce did the whole thing rubbing the belly. And I'm sorry to say, it was a copycat move.
But when Beyonce did it, did we know immediately?
Oh, yeah, she did the belly rub. What's up? Yeah.
Right at the top, though?
I don't remember. I got to go check when
See,
she
this
rubbed
wasn't
the belly.
a belly rub. This was, wait a second, as soon as she appeared and she was on the top of
You
the
were
roof.
like, yo, she's fat.
I didn't say that.
You probably said that out loud.
No, I did
Yeah,
not.
all those people in Vegas like, come on, man. Fat shaming Rihanna like that. What are you talking
I'm
about?
not Terry Bradshaw who was fat framing out Andy Reid.
Hey, Andy, waddle over here.
Andy Reid, and this won't be talked about because he's the hero and he deserves it, did not have a great first half.
He had a great second half.
A brilliant, an all-time second
Came out
half.
running the ball. Didn't see that coming.
But in the first half of this game, down 24-14, when you got Nick Sirianni basically saying 4th down, I eat that for lunch.
Yeah.
And Andy sending out Harrison Butker to kick field
agree with
goals
you.
on 4th and manageable.
I was shocked that they did this 4th and 3.
And then even, I know it turned out not to matter, but the delay on the challenge. Remember that whole play?
Yes, and they
Where
lost the challenge,
They
too.
lost the challenge. It took Andy Reid like 5 minutes to figure it out. Should I challenge? Should I not challenge? I didn't think he had the greatest first half in the world, but boy, did he write a brilliant second
And
half
he only
script.
challenged because there was a penalty flag because they had to allow the defense to substitute.
Yes.
Because Goddard came out of bounds.
That was the only reason.
And like it gave them it felt like an extra 5 minutes. I'm sure it wasn't, but it gave them enough time to look.
It gave them more time, significantly more
Yeah.
time than normally you get to decide if you're going to challenge or not.
But I
And if
mean-
it was overturned, I think that's talked about a heck of a lot more.
For sure. But here's how I see it. And I said this all year. Philadelphia, no fault of their own, had a pancake schedule when it came to quarterbacks they faced this year. Had a great season. You don't take anything away from them. Jalen Hurts, an MVP candidate. Nick Sirianni, blah, 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 blah. To be fair, though, they were handed a gift in the NFC Championship game. They had to play a team without a quarterback.
No,
Now,
that's not fair. They
they're
knocked the
responsible-
quarterback out,
but
dude.
come on. They played a game without a quarterback in it. And this, to me, is just karma. That's all this is. This, to me, is all the foul mouth, arrogant Philadelphia Eagle fans talking smack uncontrollably, greasing poles with Cheese Whiz and other kinds of oil and whatnot, thinking like your poop don't stink, and you're now the capital of sports world. Remember this. This has never happened before in sports history, where one city loses 3 professional championships in the same year. They lost the MSL Cup. They lost the World Series. They lost the Super Bowl. Ha ha.
The MSL Cup? What's that?
MLS.
Okay.
I said MSL.
We're not counting the MLS Cup.
Oh, yes, we
I mean,
are. You
come
know
on.
why?
That's a desperation
You know
point. I
why?
hate Philly.
You know why we're doing it?
Why is that?
Because they lost it. That's right.
And they lost to New York, right?
I don't know who the hell they lost
Didn't
to.
we
It doesn't
win?
matter to me.
Didn't we win the MLS
No,
Cup?
that was 2 years ago. Yeah.
I thought
don't
that
know who
was
they
this
lost
year.
to. But they lost. They're a bunch of losers.
Losers.
And all your smack talk, you in Cincinnati, all the smack talk about, we're going to Bowerhead. We're going to Bowerhead. Yeah, you're out. Oh, Philadelphia, we're in trouble. You're out.
So is everybody in Philadelphia just blaming the officials? Is Carl Cheffers the guy?
Well,
is
not
that
only
the enemy?
So there's a guy on TV in Philly doing a post-game show. And why am I'm blocking on his name, but I know the guy actually. Hold on, I'll tell you his name.
But does the audience know his name?
Yeah, it's a fair point. Probably not, so leave it alone.
Yeah.
So NBC Sports Philadelphia. Guy goes. Michael Barkan. He's been in Philly for a long, long time.
Right.
Tennis fans might know him. He does some national tennis stuff as well. And he's a nice man. Good guy. Good, solid broadcaster. But here's what happens when you're in a town like Philadelphia that you don't get as much in New York. Like in New York, we kind of pride ourselves. We keep it real. We're tough on, well, not Dylan, but on a lot of owners and managers and players, right? This guy, Michael Barkan, comes on the postgame show. You guys have it? Is it bleeped? All right, listen to this. And I want to be a good guy because he's a nice man and a talented broadcaster, and he's been around for 30 years in Philadelphia. You could come up with a name to call him. I won't call him a clown. You can. But
Okay.
Listen to this. This is embarrassing. Listen to this.
They get to a 3rd and 8 on the 15-yard line and an incomplete pass, and Carl Shepard's team with a bullshit call. I mean, utter, complete bullshit. It's inexcusable. You don't make a call right then and there. You don't let the game be decided by the officiating. And yes, it's true. The officials go both ways, and you got to rise above it. I understand. This is the freaking Super Bowl, and that should never happen. I'm going to be in the car.
Oh, you upset that Philadelphia lost the Super Bowl? That to me is embarrassing.
That doesn't make you want to hear John Sterling just rip an umpire after a Yankee playoff game?
It's just
you
like-
know, Susan, that umpire's a blind bastard.
It's embarrassing, is what it is. That level of fandom for a reporter
Yeah.
is embarrassing. And listen, and here's the rub. Again, I'll lean on this all day. When the guy that they threw the flag on comes out and goes, I held him.
You lose when he does that.
It's over.
But how do you continue to argue and whine and bitch about it when the guy himself is taking the L, saying, I hope they wouldn't call it? Now, here's my view on this, and you don't have to agree. In fact, this is going to be a weird scenario where we're going to reverse roles because I'm a fan. Even when my team isn't playing,
Yeah.
I'm just rooting for a result. And you always say, I just want to enjoy a good game. You've made that comment before.
I have no betting interest anymore,
Okay.
obviously. And if it's not my team never makes it, I have no
Now,
interest.
this has nothing to do with betting. Unfortunately, I couldn't make any bets in Las Vegas. That's a story for a different time. So I'm just watching this game rooting against the Eagles. Okay?
Well, excuse me?
Yeah, what's up?
You were in Vegas?
Couldn't bet on sports. Yeah.
And you couldn't bet on sports?
That's true. Yeah.
Or you chose not to bet on sports?
I could. You know what? I couldn't bet on sports.
Couldn't bet on sports.
My FanDuel
in Las
Sportsbook
Vegas.
app didn't work because
Well,
for some
FanDuel's
reason
not in the state of Nevada.
Well, that's ridiculous, number one. Number two, the lines at the sports book. I
Yeah.
listen to my buddy Craig.
Yeah.
I won't wait
That's right.
online for anything.
That's right.
So I can't wait online at the sports book. Then I download the app thinking, okay, I'll download the Caesars app. I'm at Caesars Sportsbook. No problem. I download it. Then I got to go wait online to show my ID. I ain't waiting on a freaking line. So I bet on nothing while in Vegas. True story.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, you're better off because you liked Philly, so you would have lost your money.
Exactly. But here's the thing.
Good.
So when that call is made, I'm rooting for the Kansas City Chiefs. Kansas City Chiefs, no doubt. And I know once that call's made, the game's over. But there was a part of me that said, boy, I wish they didn't make that call. Now, that's not me saying
That's two
it
different
wasn't the
things.
right call.
I'm with you.
That's not me saying you don't call it at that time. I'm being honest as a fan that I wanted to see, okay, Kansas City kicks a field goal. They're up by 3. Jalen gets the ball with 2 minutes to go, under 2 minutes to go, like $150, whatever it was.
Yeah.
Timeouts galore, down by 3. I was looking forward to the drama of it.
Yeah, for the first time ever. You hate drama
Yeah.
because you had no rooting interest. I got
did,
you.
but I did. That's the weird part. I wanted the
when I
Chiefs
said, like,
to
it
win.
wasn't your team.
Right. Look, did I want to see Jalen Hurts end up throwing a pick in the end zone? Of course. I wanted to see it end badly for them, but I was, and I think I speak for a lot of football fans on this who didn't have a betting interest. I was disappointed that the flag was thrown. Doesn't mean they shouldn't have thrown it. Doesn't mean it was egregious because it wasn't.
Were you disappointed 2 weeks ago when they moved the ball 15 yards up the field and gave Kansas City a relatively easy field goal to win it on the hit out of bounds?
Yeah.
You were, okay.
I was, yeah.
That's consistent.
I said that at the time, yeah. Because I think, obviously, you're a Chief fan, you're an Eagle fan, you bet a lot of money on this game. Your opinion's skewed, and I respect that. But as just a fan who wants entertainment.
You want the best possible game.
Did you feel that at all, Craig?
Listen,
Because obviously you're not involved in betting.
Yeah.
You at the
Listen,
end of the day,
it's
won a
weird.
great game, right?
I wanted Kansas City to win.
Of course.
So that, to me, it locked up the win. I give McKinnon a lot of credit. He did what Ahmad Bradshaw couldn't do 10 years ago, and that's stop at the one. Not fall into
I
the
didn't think he
end
was,
zone.
by the way.
Not fall into the end zone. Yes, in retrospect, the drama of they kick the field goal there, make it, and then they kick off, and now you've got 1:50 to go. They would have had timeouts. Philadelphia would have 2 timeouts there.
Yep.
Even if they take one, so maybe 1 timeout, let's say.
They would have had 1 timeout.
Yeah,
just
so
to be fair about it. Yeah,
So 1 timeout at $1:45, $1:50 to go.
Plenty of time.
And you got to go 50 yards to have a chance to tie the game.
And by the way, if you
75 to win it.
If you tie the game, we're looking at an overtime game in the Super Bowl, which obviously is super rare, and we've got the new rule.
Both teams get chances. Right?
How awesome would that have been? So
Yeah.
I don't think I'm talking crazy here. Even as somebody that did not want to see the Eagles win, so I'm happy about the result, that was just disappointed. That I was just like, that kind of sucks. It took the drama out of the last couple of minutes.
Absolutely right. We had 58 minutes of amazing Super Bowl, and then 2 minutes of, oh, man, it's over.
With that
and
said,
then watching the clock just run down.
With
Yeah,
that
that's fair.
said, it was a legitimate holding, and I don't believe, I've always said this, basketball too,
Yeah.
I don't believe you should officiate a game differently just because of how much time is left on the clock.
Well, I also have good news for you, all right? And that is that, you know how Philadelphia put out a shirt that went viral? It's a Philly thing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we are putting out a shirt, and I think we'll have it up on the site. I'll put the link out for you. And I don't get any of this money. None of it goes to me. It's just a buddy of mine has a company. I just send him ideas that I think people will like.
Sure.
He gets all the money. I don't get a nickel. I'll be very clear about that. So I redid the It's a Philly thing shirt. And you want to read that to people, Ev?
Losing, it's a Philly thing. And little did I know, and I found it likable, I have to admit, when Nick Sirianni was bawling during the national anthem, and that was the first time I ever had a bond with Nick Sirianni. I loved it. That image is now the image of the Super Bowl. Think about it. A bunch of whiny Philadelphians crying. That's the image of the Super Bowl. When we think back to Eagles Chiefs many years from now, we're going to think back to the head coach crying like a baby, which represents all the Eagle fans in Philadelphia. Who knew at the time? I didn't know it at the time.
It's losing. It's a Philly. It's a long sleeve tee, by the way. You'll be able to order it hopefully as early as today. 877-337-6666. Carton and Roberts on the fan. Lots cooking, of course. Coming to you live from the Town Fair Tire Studios, powered by Town Fair Tire. Nobody beats Town Fair Tire. Nobody. All Super Bowl throughout the day. But there is some Jet news. We are now, worst case, 5 days away. Best case, 4 days away from finding out if Aaron Rodgers wants to be a New York Jet.